What is up, gamers? FCast and Chill here. Today I'm going to be going into a challenge mode Chambers of Xeric guide and kind of just walking through how to do it solo. And, the intended audience for this guide is not someone who is trying to get, like the Grandmaster speedrun time for challenge mode Chambers of Xeric. It's definitely not going to be like geared toward people who already know what they're doing and trying to perfect things, but really, the target audience is more people who are comfortable with the Chambers of Xeric, probably have a decent amount of solo experience, and want to start moving on to doing solo challenge modes. And so that's really what I'm going for. I'm going to essentially walk through the strategy that I do in every room and, go through it. I'm not going to go into as much detail on some of the basics just because I'm assuming that you already are a bit familiar with the Chambers of Xeric. But anyway, you can see here's my setup here. I have essentially my max melee gear. I don't have Torva because this is my Iron Man, but I have my Infernal Cape, Torture, my Bandos, Chestplate, and Tassets, Face Guard, etc. You pretty much need a Dragon Warhammer to do solo challenge modes. It's really, really helpful for both Tekton and Ulm. Like without it, it would just be pretty rough. And then for my range setup, you can see I have a Bofa and full crystal. And then for magic, I have a trident and I have ancestral legs and an Aram's top. So, if you have better gear, feel free to bring it. Like, I'm not saying like this is what you necessarily should bring. Like if you have a T-bow and Missouri, definitely bring that over crystal and Bofa. But this is just to give you an idea of the setup. You do need a pickaxe, so you can see I have my dragon pickaxe there. Another thing is the Salvami is really helpful for mystics, so I would probably bring that. Also, the light bearer is really nice for Ulm. It lets you get a lot more Dragon Warhammer specs in, so I would definitely recommend the light bearer if you have it, as well as the Dragon Hunter Lance for Ulm. And then the Fang is also pretty useful for a lot of the fights before Ulm, so I would definitely bring a Fang if you have one. It's nice for Tekton, the crystals at Vasa, and the ranged Vanguard. And then 3 stamina potions should be good. And then I bring 1 dose of super combat, antidote plus, and prayer. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm just going to start off with Tekton, and we're going to go through the rooms. So if you're not familiar with challenge mode raids, the rooms are in the same order every single raid. So there's no scouting that you have to do. You know exactly what's coming next. It's actually really nice. I really like it. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and just get this kicked off and go right into Tekton. So with Tekton, you want to start the fight off by Dragon Warhammer speccing twice. And typically I will actually reset if both of my Warhammers miss. As long as I hit one, I'll keep going. But if both miss, then I'm going to reset. So I'll run into the room here for Tekton, and I typically will run up 1 tile below, like a space between him here, and then once I hit that tile, I'll run down to this bottom part. I'll summon a Thrall, and then go ahead and Warhammer spec. You need a Warhammer spec as he's approaching you, and then you can move afterwards. So if you see here, I smack him with my hammer, and then move out of the way. And then as I move up to the right side here, I can smack him again before he attacks, and then run over to the side. So Tekton, every 3 ticks, if he is not facing you, he will turn towards you. And if he is facing you, he will attack. So essentially what that means is you need to move from one side to the next every 3 ticks at the most. So, if you're standing there for more than 3 ticks, he turns toward you and then he can attack you if you just keep standing there. So since I use my Fang at Tekton after the Dragon Warhammer specs, the Fang attacks every 5 ticks, so what I'll do typically is I'll attack, count 4 ticks as I keep moving, and then attack again. So let's see that in action. So I attack, then 1, 2, 3, 4, attack, 1, 2, 3, 4, attack, 1, 2, 3, 4, attack, 1, 2, 3, 4, attack. And I'm making sure if he turns toward me right after I switch to a new side, I make sure to run 2 tiles instead of just 1. So, yeah, essentially I'm just making sure that I'm not on the same side that he's facing 3 ticks after he turns. And so that's really it for the Fang method. Pretty simple. And I honestly don't even protect from melee because I just have piety on and I'm not expected to get hit unless I just fuck up. In between anvils, I just walk around like this. Typically walking at a diagonal is really useful to avoid these missiles coming at you. And yeah, then I just turn my run back on. One thing for Tekton, at the start of the fight, you can Dragon Warhammer spec as he's walking up towards you before moving. But after the anvil, when he's moving back towards you, you need to move before he gets to you or he will attack. So with the Dragon Warhammer, you can see you hit him and then move out of the way. After that phase, you need to move and then hit him and then start, moving every 4 ticks. But essentially, this is the same as normal Tekton. He just has a lot more defense and higher stats. So, if you're comfortable with the normal Tekton fight, it shouldn't be too bad. And you can see here, I cleared this Tekton in about 2 minutes, 45 seconds, which is about average for me, assuming I hit at least 1 hammer. It's not too bad, but not great. So let's go ahead and move on to the crab room next. Before we get to crabs, I do want to mention you want to have at least 3 inventory slots empty, ready to pick up some of the supplies when Tekton dies. So you're going to need to get one of the overloads, the prayer enhance, and the revitalization potion. So you can see I picked those 3 up, and then I equip my Bofa and move on to the next room. I sip my prayer enhance here, and then go ahead and just put protect from melee up so that the crabs won't damage me. And I just kind of hang out here and range this first one and get it to come to this tile. And then that'll get rid of the first crystal. And then I want to hit 2 more crabs to aggro them and then hammer them on these tiles that I have marked down here. And I can put the tile markers in the description. And then once I do that, then I can come over here, and then now I just need to mage one of them. If I'm fast enough at hammering those 2 and to get them into their spots, then I can hit them with my trident, and that first energy ball can actually deactivate this yellow crystal, but I wasn't fast enough this time. So now I just come back over here. Also, you can see that I've equipped my light bearer after the Tekton fight instead of my berserker ring, so that my spec energy is recharging more quickly as I wait. So then after that crab, then I'll smash him on that tile right there, and then I just need to come back here, and I'm walking 1 tile at a time to not lose aggro on the crab, and then just get it in place on this tile, and then that's it for the crabs room. So pretty easy. Typically my crabs rooms go from 1 minute to 1:10, depending on how fast I am setting things up, but not too bad. And then we move on here to the scavenger beast. So I do prep when I'm doing my solo CMs. I would only recommend doing no preps if you're very experienced and have very good gear. I don't think my gear is good enough for no preps. But anyway, I drop my revitalization and prayer enhance and kill the scavenger beast once. Run through and pick up both the axe and the tinderbox. Then I equip my axe in offhand and sip a stamina. Then I drop my tinderbox to deposit everything and then just pick it back up. Makes the inventory management a little bit easier. As I chop trees, after each time I see the XP drop, I'll walk a little bit towards another tree. And the reason for that is you can actually, as long as you get to the other tree within, the time that you would get the next chop, it doesn't slow you down at all. And I don't want to just sit at this front tree here, because if it gets cut down, then that would be bad. So you need a total of 48 wood to get the ice demon to pop. So I'll usually count how much I get in my first inventory and then just make sure I have more, at least that much for the second inventory, and then I'll be good to go. So now with that chop, I have more than enough. So I'm just gonna go here and light the second brazier, and then I can drop the tinderbox. So now I wanna get out both my Bofa setup and my melee gear. I also get my Book of the Dead out for thralls. So I pull all that out and I get a stamina out just in case I run out of run energy. My spec energy is back to full, so I equip my berserker ring again, and then I pick up these potions that I dropped before, as well as what the scavenger beast dropped from that first kill. So then I sip my overload here and start killing the scavenger beast. So here I'm looking for, I usually want at least 10 stinkhorn mushrooms, at least 12 to 15 in darkened juice, a lockpick, and 2 planks. The lockpick isn't totally necessary. If you have everything else, you're good to move on. But I like to get the lockpick because it speeds up the thieving room. And so that's actually everything. I got it all really quickly. You can see I have the juice, the stinkhorn mushrooms, the planks, and the lockpick. So now we run back to Ice Demon, and I equip all my melee gear, and I get my hammer out too. So I actually melee the Ice Demon. I can show you how I do that in a minute. But first I come up and smack him with my hammer. After hitting him once, I'll run around and summon a range thrall, and then spec him again with my hammer. Unfortunately, both of these missed, which kind of sucks, but that's all right. And then I get my Fang out. And now this is what you do to Ice Demon if you have a Fang. I call this the Fang Walk. you just move in a figure 8 pattern like this, and you will actually never get hit and not use up any run energy. So super nice. If you want to use your arc light at Ice Demon, I think it's a little bit stronger than Fang, but I want to save my arc light charges for eventually maybe like going for Cerberus and Sire pets. So I probably should be bringing my arc light, but if you have the arc light, it attacks every 4 ticks, so then you can just walk into diamond pattern instead of this figure 8, and you don't have to cross over in the middle. One thing is kind of hard to sip potions while doing this, so the way I do it is whenever I'm moving to the right, that's when I'll sip a potion, because then my next click will be closer to my inventory. And so you can see I'll do that in just a minute here. My prayer enhance is about to run out, and so as I attack him, then I move, click my prayer enhance, and then click back, so I don't lose any time or get hit. Again, you probably don't want to sip potions or do anything while moving to the left, because then it makes it harder to make that click to stay in the cycle. But yeah, I just run around Ice Demon like this, and you can see even without the hammers, he dies moderately quickly, and that should be it. So now I equip all my ranging gear, and we're going to go into the Shaman's room. I already had sipped my anti-poison potion when Tekton died, which is why I only bring in 1 dose, because, if I sip it there, then that frees up an inventory slot. But I usually camp here with the Shamans. Whenever they fire those green balls like that, you have to move 3 tiles from where you're standing or you'll get hit. So you can see I'm just moving back and forth 3 tiles like this. And I'm trying to get him to jump, because if you get him to jump where I was standing before, then it can get him stuck. If you're standing touching any of the walls in the room, then they will not jump, which can be helpful if you're trying to kill them faster. But you can see as I've gotten him to jump here, now he's stuck behind the hole in the room, and so I can just kind of hang out here and flick my rigor, and so he is going to die. So, I'm just going to hang out here, kill this shaman, and then try to get the other one to jump somewhere to get him stuck. So I'm going to attack him, and then come down here. If he jumps toward me, which he just did, now I can run across this hole in the room, and then sit here, and now I can just range him from here safely. So again, this room can be a little frustrating when you're first learning, and it is pretty dangerous because those green poison attacks they do can do a lot of damage if you don't move out of the way. But if you get them stuck, then it makes it way easier. And it saves on your run energy. If you mess up and need to sip another stamina dose here, not the end of the world. But yeah, just gonna hang out here and flick. After this guy dies, I am gonna pick up the Buchu seeds as I move on to the next room for the prep. So should just be 1 or 2 more hits, and that should do it. So I grab these Buchu seeds and then move on. And so you can see my time for the shaman room there was about 9:30. It was 9:27. That's about average for me, maybe a little on the faster side. I think my fastest ever is like 8:05 here. And sometimes if I get bad RNG on Tekton and the Ice Demon, I'll be at more like 12 minutes here. But I plant my 2 Buchu seeds, then drop the seed dibber and the rest of the seeds. Come over here and build the stash, deposit in my potions, the stinkhorn mushrooms, juice, and shovel, switch to private, deposit everything, and then pull the shovel and my 10 mushrooms and 15 in darkened juice out. Fill my inventory with the vials and fill them up with water. And again, you probably don't need to prep this much if you're an expert and really know what you're doing, or you could prep even more if you're a beginner. But this is just what I do to be safe. It's kind of like my very comfy kill count level of brews and restores that I want. So I'll make 1 full inventory like this and then just deposit them back in my stash, and then I'll go and pick the Buchu seeds. Typically the 2 seeds that I planted are enough to fill my inventory with the leaves. It's very rare that I don't get the full inventory just from these 2. But if that happens, I could always plant more. I just lose some time. So we're just gonna hang out here and pick all these leaves and then clean them and move on to the next room. But yeah, going pretty well so far. Yeah, not much to say here. Just gonna hang out and pick some seeds. And all right. Oh god, in the clan chat, someone just got defeated and lost 175 mil. Hopefully he was transferring to his main. Oh yeah, he is. That's what it says. Okay, giving his main dupes. Yeah, that would be scary. But anyway, yeah, we almost got an inventory full of Buchu seeds, and with this next one, there we go. Okay. So now I can drop the shovel and then clean all these herbs. Check out my precise clicks with my herb cleaning. Pretty good. Maybe not like top player levels, but I'm pretty proud of it. Honestly, doing CMs has gotten my click accuracy up a lot, and I'll show you that during like Vasa and Ulm. But anyway, we're gonna take out these vials, and we're gonna make all our stinkhorn mushrooms, and then move on to doing the Endarken juice. So just making our vials here. Yep, we got all our restores, and now we're getting our brews. Deposit those. Let's grab all these guys out, and then we're just going to make the rest of our brews here, and then we'll move on to Vanguards. So yeah, going pretty well. Looks like we're gonna have a mid 12-minute first floor. Again, my fastest ever is like about 11 minutes flat. I think it's an 11:04 with my gear. And sometimes I get as slow as like 14 or 15 minutes if I get shit RNG. So then I come in and pull out all my melee gear and magic gear. I don't need my hammer right now, so I just get my fang, and then we move on to the next floor. So then I go ahead and sit my overload here and put on my mage gear. So for typically, I want to prioritize targeting the melee and ranged vanguards, since you can hit the mage one from very far away with the Bofa range. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this melee vanguard with magic. And you have to be very wary of what your max hit is, because you don't want to reset them and get them to all heal up. So now I'm going to put on my melee gear and come up here and use some Fang specs on this guy. That was a pretty good hit, so I'm not going to go for a spec for the second hit. All right. And then the ranged vanguard, you can actually just stand under him and you won't take damage. So if you use shift click to walk under an enemy, then you can just do that and stand under him safely. The other two, that does not work. You cannot stand under them, but the ranged one you can. I guess it's something buggy with the code. So yeah, just gonna do that. And then, like I said, I'm prioritizing damaging the ranged and the melee one. But now that this one is within one max hit, I'm gonna switch to my Bofa setup and start hitting the mage vanguard. And there's a good amount of RNG in this room with how hard you hit. Like, these guys actually have like pretty crazy defense, so it can be a little frustrating, but yeah, you just got to get through the room. And again, use your Fang specs on this guy. Try to brew up if your health gets too low. I honestly should probably brew here. One thing that I haven't mentioned yet is for brewing, if you look at the top left of my screen, you can see the overload timer. It's at 325 right now. As that ticks down, every 15 seconds, I get my stats replenished. And so what I want to do is I want to only brew up right before that hits one of the 15-second marks, because then it'll, when I brew to reduce my stats, it'll bring my stats back up right after that, so I'm not losing out on DPS. So that's one thing that you want to be really cognizant of when you're doing challenge mode raids, because being brewed down makes a big difference, especially during Ulm and some of the later fights. So try not to brew unless it's one of those times that's just about to be one of those 15-second markers. You can see here I just brewed right before it hit 245. But now we've killed the mage vanguard, and so now we're almost done. I'm going to go attack the range one here, and we should be done pretty soon. Yeah, this room's just probably my least favorite room in the raid. It's kind of boring and just takes a while, but it's all good. Almost done here. And let's see, nope, didn't finish him off that time. I guess we're just gonna switch to our mage gear since this guy's closer. And then summon my thrall. I like using the mage thrall here too. It's good for all three of the vanguards. But yeah, he should die. There we go. Well, actually, no, I killed him right as they were moving, so he's still gonna be alive, which is kind of a frustrating thing about vanguards. If you kill them right as they go to move, they just get respawned. But that's okay. Now they're finally all dead. And so I usually drop my overload here that's half full and then pick up a new one. And then I'll just pick up as many brews and stuff as I can. I honestly have like a pretty big inventory full of stuff, so I don't need to pick up the rest of those supplies. So I'm just going to move on. And I'll equip most of my mage or ranging gear because we have Vespula next. So you can see I equip everything except my Bofa because I don't have room. And then just move over to the chest here. And then I'm just going to deposit everything in the room. So yeah, deposit all my brews, restores, all these guys, go over to private, deposit, and take out my lockpick. And then now I just, open chests. One thing here, if you have level 95 thieving, or higher, it helps a lot with how quickly you get grubs. So if you plan on grinding a lot of CoX, I think it is helpful to have 95 Thieving. But, you know, it might save you like 20 or 30 seconds of Thieving room. It does add up if you're going to do like a few hundred of them, but not totally necessary. But I did train my Thieving to 95 here. So I usually just go around and look for the bats. I really like getting the bats. For one, they give you some extra points, and I actually use them at Vespula, so it's a little helpful. But yeah, we're just gonna run around for a while and look for bats, and then once we get them, then we're gonna go back toward the front. And unfortunately, it's in the last screen chest that I checked, so that's a little unfortunate, but it's all good. And let's see. All right, so I think what I'm gonna do first is, if I get any more grubs, I'm gonna deposit them in the trough and then go pick up the bats. But I'm not getting any, so I'm just gonna go pick up the bats now. All right, there we go. And now I'm gonna deposit all my grubs. So you can see I have 21 grubs so far, and you need 30. So I need 9 more. So we're just gonna loot these chests until I get 9. If you're too slow, the scavenger will actually regenerate a little bit, so I could need 10 more grubs, but hopefully I'll get 9 before that happens. Just depends on luck here. And it's not going too well right now, but I'm already up to 6, so just 3 more. And that's 29, so not quite. And there we go. Okay, so I drop my lockpick and deposit the grubs. And here I actually get out my overload and prayer restore. I sip my overload and the prayer enhance. And then as my overload's damaging me, I eat these bats to clear up some inventory space. Then I'll take about 6 restores out and 5 brews, and then some of my gear for the next floor. So again, I'm gonna want my thralls. I need a stamina potion here, and then I get some of my gear for the next floor, like I said. I think, I actually forgot my Bofa. So I'm gonna run back and grab that. Bit of a mistake there, but it's okay. Again, not going for like Grandmaster times or anything like that, just trying to get some solid completions without dying to get drops. So then as I'm coming up here, I want to sip my stamina potion and, you know, just make sure I have pretty good health, pray melee as I run past the scavenger. And then here for Vespula, you want to make sure your quick prayers are on redemption and rigor. So Vespula's a pretty frustrating room sometimes. My Bofa can whiff a lot and I'll just like miss and it'll take forever. But essentially you just have this tile marked and that's the safe spot, and you just run back and forth from it attacking the portal. And once your redemption procs, then you're going to need to use a prayer restore and then put your prayers back on and then just go back to attacking the portal. And just keep doing that every time your redemption procs. So for Vespula, there's actually a sound cue that you want to use, and I wasn't capturing my sound with my original clip, so I changed it out here. But what you want to do is you run back and forth, and as soon as you hear your redemption proc, what you do is you click one of your prayer restore doses, and then double click your quick prayer bubble. And what that'll do is it'll, you know, restore your prayer, and then it'll turn off your prayers and then turn them back on. You have to turn them off because sometimes there's a little bit of a delay after your redemption procs before your prayer actually goes away. So that's why you double click. That said, if when you're doing this, you hear the sound of your redemption proc and then hear the prayer drain sound afterwards, then you only need to click once. But what I do is actually, I'll click my prayer dose, then double click my prayer bubble to turn my prayers off and back on. And if I heard the prayer drain, then I'll just click a third time, because that's the same as clicking once. So essentially, the method for what you do here is when you hear redemption, click one of your pink potions and then immediately double click your prayer bubble. If you also heard the sound for your prayer draining, then click the prayer bubble a third time. And so you can see I'm doing that here. So you can see, like, as you hear the redemption proc, I immediately click my prayer dose and then double click the prayer bubble. And I just keep doing that. And if I do happen to hear the prayer drain sound like I do here, then you can see after double clicking, I click a third time to make sure it's back on. So that's really it. Also, you know, make sure your run energy doesn't run out. I almost run out of run energy here, so I have to use another stamina dose. That occasionally happens. But if you do run out of run energy, you will die. So yeah. But that's it for Vespula. Really, it does take some practice with the sound cue, but that's it. And now we're gonna go back to the other kill count where I wasn't capturing my sound. Then once he's done, then I just go ahead and sip all these brews to get my health up, and then sip a restore to restore my stats. And then I just kind of rearrange my inventory here a little bit as I run over to the next room. So I do not do Tightrope skip. Tightrope skip is pretty technical, and it does save quite a bit of time, but there's a pretty decent chance of me messing it up just because I haven't practiced it that much. And again, I'm not going for the Grandmaster time, so I just kill all 4 of these guys. So I'm just gonna hang out here and flick my rigger and kill him. See my overload timing right before it gets down to 2 minutes, I sip a brew like I mentioned before, because then my stats will get restored right after. So again, I'm just gonna flick rigger, and then right before my overload timer gets to 145, I'm gonna sip another brew. So you can see it's at 146, so I sip a brew here and then go back to attacking. And when I do that, I don't, have to deal with my stats being drained at all. So not too bad at all. Just gonna hang out here and kill these guys. All right, and then now I'm gonna sip a couple brews and restore my stats, and then switch to protect from range and start attacking these guys. So these guys can hit really fucking hard. Once your health gets below their max hit, which I believe is about 40, maybe 41, then what I do is I'll brew up every time I see their attack animation start. So if you don't know, their damage is calculated at the start of their attack animation. So if you have like 30 HP, for example, when they start their attack animation, the most they could hit is a 30. So if you brew up after that start of the attack animation, then you won't die. So you can see here, I'm at 26 health. As he starts his attack animation, I click a brew. As he starts his attack animation, I click a brew, and I just keep doing this so that they can never kill me. And I don't have to heal up past their max hit. So that's pretty nice, but they died fairly quickly. I still have 3 brews left, which is not too bad at all. So I just cross and pick up this keystone, and then we're just gonna keep moving on. So after I come back here, I use it to dispel the barrier, and then run through and equip my melee gear. So we have the Guardian's room next. So I do still need to arrange my inventory. I usually like to bring 2 restores and 8 brews down to the next floor. So you can see I'm getting that out. Then I get my pickaxe and the rest of my melee gear, my salve, my woodcutting axe, and my trident for the final floor. And so now we're gonna run down there. So we got a time of 23 minutes going into the bottom floor. That's actually pretty good. I think my best ever is like a low 22, like maybe 22:10 or something, 22:20. So yeah, not too bad overall. Sip my overload here, my prayer enhance, and then essentially I just protect from melee and piety, and then just attack the guardians. So right after you click to attack, you just run back 2 tiles, like I'm doing here, and then if you step forward, then you're not using as much run energy. And I do flick my piety here too, just to save some prayer, but you don't have to do that. And then, the pickaxe is something that attacks every 5 ticks, so just, make sure you're not too early, because if you run up like that, I was too early, I could have gotten hit there really hard with the boulders that drop from the ceiling. So yeah, just hang out here at the Guardians, just keep flicking my piety, running back and forth. And honestly, this doesn't use much run energy at all the way I'm doing it, which is really nice, because I need that run energy for Vasa, who will be next. But yeah, you can see my pickaxe isn't hitting too well, getting a lot of zeros here, but that's all good. I don't think the thralls can do any damage here, so I don't summon them. I might be wrong about that, but whatever. Just gonna hang out, and you can see one of them's dead. I'm gonna kill the other one soon. And yeah, ideally you shouldn't have to use any brews on the Guardian room unless you mess up. So yeah, try not to do that. But we'll be done with this in just a minute here, and then we can move on. We're almost done with all the rooms and almost on to Ulm, but just a few more. And a bit later, you can see the Guardians are now dead, and I am going to equip all my range gear here. So I equip my Bofa setup, and then I run into the next room. I'm going to rearrange my inventory here to put my pickaxe down toward the bottom and swap it out for my Vernic in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and sip a stamina too. So now here what I do is I only sip 1 brew after I get teleported, because the damage is calculated when he teleports you. I summon a Mage Thrall, and then I just, after I get can put my prayers back on, I put on Protect from Range and Rigor, and then get my Bofa. Then whenever he gets to a crystal, I swap to my melee setup and just Fang the crystals down. The Fang spec actually shreds them. You can see it does a ton of damage, and so I usually just hang out here and Fang them down, and then right as the crystal dies, I switch back to Rigor, put on my range gear, and then just keep attacking Vasa. So I move 3 times in between each Bofa attack, and I move 2 tiles apart so that I'm not taking damage. And he dies fairly quickly usually. Occasionally I'll get to kill him before the next teleport, but that can be kind of rare. So again, now he's at this crystal, put all my gear back on, and we're just gonna Fang spec this crystal down. Yeah, not killing them too fast this time. Sometimes if you kill the crystals fast enough, you know, you can kill him before the next teleport, but it doesn't look like that's gonna happen. My Thrall ran out, so I'm gonna summon another one, and I just keep moving. My prayer's getting kind of low, so in a little bit I'm gonna have to use a prayer restore, but not yet. Just running around. And oh, am I gonna kill him before he gets to the crystal? Probably not. Doesn't look like it. So then I'm gonna hit this crystal once. I'm gonna put my range gear back on because he's about to move and teleport. So yeah, you see there the timer ran out, and he's gonna teleport me when he gets to the center of the room. And so I'm just gonna hit him a couple times before then. And yeah, I got him pretty low, but not quite all the way. So now I can sit my bruise a couple times since he's not gonna teleport me again before dying, at least unless I fuck up. And so now I'm just gonna run here and just hopefully kill him pretty soon. Put all my melee gear back on and start attacking the crystal. Gonna Fang spec it a couple times. That was a really good hit. Not quite dead, but one more hit should do it. There we go. Now let's get my Bofa back on, and hopefully I can kill him before he gets to the next crystal. I just need a couple decent hits. And one more should do it. I'm gonna resummon my Thrall since it ran out, but okay, that should do it. So now he's dead. So now I'm gonna go ahead and sit my last stamina dose and equip my Avernic and some melee weapon just so I have the room in my inventory for all the potions. I usually pick up all the brews he drops and then just one of the twisteds, because I like to have one twisted for the Muttadiles room. It's really helpful. So now I'm going to turn my Protect from Melee on as I run past the Scavenger, and then we just run up here. You can see I have a tile marked here. That's actually a safe spot for one of the Mystics. It doesn't always work, but it does sometimes. I drop one of my brews as I run by so I can equip my Bofa, and then summon a ranged Thrall, and then just safe spot the Mystic from here. And you can see he's trying to run up to melee me, but he can't, so I'm actually pretty safe right here. And so again, I'm just going to flick my Rigor and keep attacking him. And like I said before, as my overload timer gets down to each, multiple of 15 seconds, that's when I'm going to sip a brew. So you can see I'm at 432 now, so I sip a brew and then go back to attacking. And that's just so I can heal up without having to drain my stats. And so we're just going to hang out and flick Rigor on these guys. One thing I want to mention is make sure you have your salve equipped for these, the imbued salve ambi. Because that does a lot of extra damage and gives you some extra accuracy too, because these guys are undead. So highly recommend doing that. So just flicking here right before 4 minutes, sip a brew. And now that I've sipped a whole brew, I can pick up this one that I dropped before, and then we can just keep moving on through the room. There is a way to safe spot these later Mystics too, but I actually haven't bothered learning it because I basically never run out of brews here. So I guess if I did learn how to do that, it could make it so that I don't have to prep quite as many, but it's fine. I should be good. So we're gonna wait till he dies here. And now I'm gonna brew up to essentially full and equip all my tanking gear. I actually keep my Barrow's gloves on because they have higher defense than the Ferocious. And I get my Trident as well, and then pray Protect from Range and Augury, and then go to chop the tree. So with the tree here, every time you see the woodcutting XP drop, you can sip a brew, attack the baby Muttadile, and click back on the tree. And if you do it fast enough, then you won't slow down your chopping at all. So right when you see the woodcutting XP drop, if your health is low enough, sip a brew, attack the baby Muttadile, and then click back on the tree. And it'll just keep chopping it. Now that my health's basically full, I'm just going to attack him and then click back on the tree. But you just kind of hang out here. If he's within melee range of you, pray protect from melee. If he's not, pray protect from range. And, you know, keep your health high in this room because these guys can burst you down and do a shit ton of damage very quickly. So definitely keep your health high. After the tree's dead, then I equip my Bofus setup and just run back here praying protect from range. And just try to kill this guy without taking too much damage. I like to run back to this corner here because this is what I'm going to use to safe spot the big Muttadile after the baby dies. And now the baby's dead, so I'm going to brew up to full health. And I'm also going to sip a Twisted because I brewed my stats down and I want to use the Twisted to get them back up. So for the Mama Muttadile, same thing applies again. You want to brew right before your overload hits each 15-second mark. I believe the Muttadile's max attack here is 38. So if your health's below 38, then definitely start brewing right after you see the attack animation start. So here you can see my health's low. So right after I hear or see the attack animation, I click my brew and then click back on the Muttadile. And so you can see I'm just doing that here. And now my health's above 38, so I can use a Prayer Restore and then a Twisted to get my stats back up. But again, just going to camp my mouse over my brews, and whenever my health drops too low, when I see the attack animation start, that's when the damage is calculated, so then I heal up. So right here, you can see I did that again, and usually this goes pretty smoothly. Occasionally, if you're unlucky, the Muttadile will walk over toward you and try to melee you. If that happens, just pray protect from melee and run through it. It's honestly really rare. Like, I die from the Muttadile room maybe like 1 in like 40 or 50 kills. Like it's pretty rare. So then I come back here and just deposit all the stuff that I don't need for Ulm. I don't bring all my gear into Ulm so I can have room for more brews. And then I'm just going to equip my maging gear because we're going to start out with maging. And then I would recommend having 2 stamina potions here for Ulm. You probably won't need 2 full ones, but that's usually my setup. And I'm pretty weird about how I like my inventory arranged, so you can see I'm just kind of arranging it as I do that. And I go ahead and sip my overload here and brew up. I'm actually going to deposit that Berserker ring too, because I'm just going to wear the Light Bearer for Ulm. Alright, and so I've brewed up completely, sipped an overload and prayer enhance. So I'm going to deposit all these half full potions, deposit my Berserker ring, get out a full overload, prayer enhance, and then I usually go into Ulm with 3 prayer restores and 7 brews. That's usually plenty for me. So honestly, the Ulm fight's the same as normal CoX, so if you're familiar with solo Ulm, it shouldn't be too bad. Summon my Thrall, attack the hand, and run over. But the difference is he hits a lot harder if you're off prayer. I believe he can hit up to like 41 or so. And so what you want to do is just make sure you're getting into the 4-to-1 cycle as soon as possible each phase so that you're not getting hit as much. And so let me actually show you here. So I start off the fight. I want to, Dragon Warhammer, the melee hand. So what I'll do is I'll run over, to this right side while doing the mage hand running. If my attack hits here, like it did there, then I quickly equip all my melee gear, put on Piety, and spec the hand. I missed, so I'm going to spec it again. And I missed both my hammers, of course. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. But now we're just going to go into the mage hand running, and after my spec energy regenerates, which it should before the mage hand dies because I have my light bearer on, I'll try to spec the melee hand one more time. And, again, I don't have an overhead prayer here because I'm pretty confident at not getting hit, and so I'm just going to run back and forth with augury on, attacking the mage hand. Again, this is something that you really should master on regular solo Ulm before going to challenge modes. And if you want to see how to do that, you can check out my solo Ulm guide in the description below. I think that's helped a decent amount of people, get the basics of Ulm down. So again, just going to run back and forth until this hand dies. I've actually been hitting pretty hard on it. It's already pretty low. I'm going to resummon my Mage Thrall because he's running out. I really should go complete the higher tiers of combat achievements so that my Thralls last longer, but I haven't really bothered with combat achievements much yet. And I actually did kill that hand before I got my spec back. So I'm just gonna go ahead and summon my melee thrall now, and then just start hitting this guy. And yeah, okay, I'm getting teleported, and he's attacking with raid. Okay, and then he's also doing the acid walk. There's a lot going wrong right now. I'm just gonna, I spec'd him and missed again, so now I'm just gonna run back here and reset. And now I'm gonna try to get into the 4-1 as soon as possible. All right, so let's see. So I attack him here. Let's see what he does. So he does a normal attack, and oh, I'm already in the 4-1. Okay, well that was lucky. So yeah, we're just gonna hang out here. I did miss all 3 hammers that I tried to hit on him so far. It's kind of unfortunate. I was almost on PB pace for this run, so I could have PB'd maybe, but now I'm gonna have a pretty slow ohm because I missed all my hammers. But yeah, we're just gonna run back and forth and, you know, do this 4-1, and hopefully the hand will die before too long. Again, you know, here on the first phase, if my health is above 50, I don't want to brew because my overload will run out on the next phase, and that will heal me back up to 99. So I'm gonna wait until my health drops below 50 to brew it all. But yeah, I'm just gonna do my typical 4-1, keep running back and forth, and it's going pretty well so far. He hasn't hit me too hard off prayer. Pretty lucky, I guess. But I have 7 full brews though, so that really should be plenty if you don't mess up too much. But again, this is going to be a pretty slow phase because both my Dragon Warhammer specs, are actually all 3 of my Dragon Warhammer specs missed. I do have enough energy for another one, but I'm just going to save it for the next one. Alright, then I'm going to do the acid walk here. There's a little fancy. You don't have to do this if you aren't comfortable with it, but I do it here just to stay in the 4-1 cycle. I mess up there, so I get out of the cycle, but yeah, we're just going to run back and reset. Alright, and hopefully this hand will die any second now. This has been a very long phase with all those Warhammers missing. Let's see if we're in 4-1. We are still, so that's good. And there we go. Finally, that hand died. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and equip my Warhammer here. Probably should sip a prayer restore since my prayer is really low. And then I'm just going to run back and forth from these just to not get hit. So as the next phase starts, I Warhammer immediately when I can. So the way I do it is when I see the attack option show up for Olm, I immediately click on him. And then I equip 4 items. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then run. Equip the rest of my mage gear, turn on augury and summon a thrall, and then just run like this to not take any damage and get my Warhammer spec off. And now I'm in the mage hand running cycle. You can see my successful Warhammer spec actually crippled his hand. So I'm going to have to wait for that to get better before I can do my second Warhammer spec. And luckily the first one did hit, so that's nice. So remember what I do is once I'm on the right side and the hand's not crippled anymore, when I get a successful mage attack, so like right here, now I equip all my melee gear, put Piety on and Warhammer spec again, then run over to the side because I missed, and yeah. Now we're just back in that mage hand running cycle. So, you know, you don't have to be as quick as I am with the clicks to get the specs in. If you want, you can run the 1 to 0 cycle where you just run back and forth and use that while you're speccing, if you're not as confident in clicking as quickly as I am. But, you know, as you're learning, you really want to prioritize not getting hit. So, you know, whatever you can do with your Warhammer specs to get them in when your energy's, when you have enough energy and not get hit, that's what you should do. The methods that I'm showing do take very quick and precise clicking, but I would encourage you to practice them and eventually get to the point where you can do it like I am here. So you can see I equip all my melee gear, smack him, unfortunately missed again, so I go back to my mage gear, turn augury back on. But yeah, we're just going to hang out here and just keep maging down the mage hand, and we at least got 1 Warhammer out of the 3 to work on the melee hand, so it's not too bad. But yeah, we're just gonna keep running back and forth, and this mage hand should die pretty soon. It's down to 66 health, and I think 1 more hit should do it if it's not a bad hit, and that should do it. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and sip a brew as my overload goes to that 15 mark, and then get my stuff on. Okay, so then that was the 3rd attack. So I think, okay, I messed up the timing there. Let's reset. All right. So we're trying to get into the 4-1. Let's see what he does. That's 1 attack and 2 attack. Oh, okay, that's the flame wall. Okay. We're gonna have to reset back here. Let's try this out. All right. And now I attack. Come over here, attack again. Let's see what Olm does. I gotta change prayers, and now I'm in 4-1. Okay. And since this is the flame phase, after my attack at this side, I'm gonna walk to the right. And that makes it so that if he does do his flame wall, it'll get canceled out because I'll be on the edge of the arena. So now I'm doing my 4-1 a little bit differently than I do normally. I just walk to the right here and then walk back. And unfortunately, he did that burn with me attack that makes my health just get drained a lot. But that's all good. So yeah, pretty clean phase. You can see I still have 5.5 brews, and that's with some mistakes too. You know, I've messed up a couple times already, and yeah. Still have plenty of brews. I didn't want to show you a perfect kill count because I feel like it's better to show you that you can make a few mistakes and still be fine. But yeah, so now as he comes up, I smack him with the hammer, equip 4 items and run. Oh, I actually went too fast there. That usually doesn't happen. Anyway, let's just get back in the mage hand running cycle and not take damage. So here we are. Okay, now I'm back in the cycle. So yeah, what happened there was I ran to the left 1 tick too early, which is why I got hit. But yeah, now we're gonna equip all these guys again, smack them with the hammer. Unfortunately, that didn't work, so we're gonna just go back to maging. I did get at least the 1 hammer off, but and I'll probably have enough energy for 1 more try at a hammer before this mage hand's down. So remember, for the 3rd phase, you don't want to kill the mage hand until you have the melee hand dead, because you need to kill them both, you know, essentially at the same time. And if you kill the mage hand first, the melee hand might do like the regenerate health thing, and then you won't be able to kill it. So what I do is I get the mage hand very low, within 1 hit of dying, then focus on the melee hand and kill it, then go back to the mage hand. So I'm just gonna keep doing my run here. It's going pretty well. I'm actually hitting really hard with my trident right now. My prayer in hands wore off, so I'm going to sip another one of those. I'm trying to keep my health at 50 or so. I'll get it a little bit above, but my overload's running out soon, so I don't want to brew up to full. Going to resummon a thrall here, and let's see. So it's at 78 health. My max hit is 45 with my current mage setup, so I would just want to get it down as close to, you know, as close to 45 as possible. So 49, I can hit it 1 more time. All right, there we go. So now I'm going to get my melee gear back on, and I actually can drag a Warhammer spec, and fortunately I did hit there. So that's pretty nice. My overload ran out, so I'm going to go ahead and sip another one. And let's see. Okay, so he's doing the healing. So yeah, this actually makes me lose a lot of time if I'm going for speeds, which is unfortunate. But it gives me some time to run back and forth and brew up, so that's what I'm doing. All right, so now let's try to get into the 4-1 cycle and see what's going on. So I attack here. He attacks once, and okay, he did a special. So now I need to attack 2 and then 1 more time. And then now I should be in the 4-1 because I did 3 attacks after his special started. And then I'm going to walk to the right after each attack from the corner because I want to make sure if he flame walls, it gets canceled out from me being on the edge of the arena. Again, if you want to learn how to do these 4-1 methods, I would recommend checking out my Olm guide, getting into the cycle very quickly. But yeah, it's going pretty well, and you can see I'm hitting this hand pretty hard. Again, not the fastest Olm. The first phase was really slow, but it has been pretty clean. I still have 4 full brews left as we're finishing the 3rd phase. And that's the end of that hand. So I'm going to equip all my mage gear, turn augury back on, and finish this hand off. You can even summon a mage thrall here if you're worried about killing the hand in time, but I did kill it. So now I'm going to put my ranging gear back on, and I summon a range thrall, and then we're just going to run back and forth and hit him. So the method I like to do here is called the 6-2 method. It's you get 6 attacks in for every 2 of his. So essentially you just run to the corner of the room, and you have to make sure you're moving on the tick that he attacks. So don't attack on the same tick as him, or you can get trapped in a flame wall. But other than that, you just really run back and forth and move. Try to only brew right before the 15-second intervals on your overload. I know that can be pretty hard to focus on with everything going on in this room. will take some practice, but you know, eventually you will be able to get it. But if you brew down just whenever, then you know, you can definitely get to the point where your stats are really drained and you're not doing much damage. But yeah, just gonna run back and forth here and just keep hitting him. It's going pretty well so far. Just got to keep moving to avoid these falling crystals. But yeah, pretty clean. You can see I wait till he attacks to make sure I'm not attacking at the same time, and then run back. 1, 2, 3, attack. 1, 2, 3, attack. Then just move. And yeah, hopefully the head phase will end before too long. You can see I got hit for a 30 there, which is quite unfortunate. I accidentally moved too quickly to there, so he didn't turn his head to the left. I'm kind of needing to panic brew a little bit here, which is okay. You know, if you're going for speed, it's really bad, but I'm just trying to not die. And you know, I still have like 3 full brews left, so I'm totally fine as long as I keep my health high. All right, so just running back and forth. My stats are still brewed down a little bit. I'm not going to be able to get to that in time, so that's unfortunate. He is going to heal up. He's being an asshole right now and just keeps using these healing things, but that's okay. He is almost dead. And we're just going to hit him a couple more times. And one more time, and let's see what we get. And it is a purple. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, Ancestral Hat. It's a new item for me. I'll take it. I only have the ancestral legs, so it's my second ancestral piece. Unfortunately, for when I'm overloaded, so when I'm at 120 magic, this is not going to be a new max hit for me. But if I'm not at 120 magic, so if I'm just at my 99, or if I'm using my saturated heart and at 112, it is a new max hit. So this is actually going to be pretty nice for things like Zulrah, Muspa, or you know, just any other maging stuff where I'm not in raids overloading. So I guess that's pretty nice. Pretty good to finally get a new purple item, because I've had like pretty shit luck so far at CoX. Still just grinding looking for my T-bow. But yeah, that was a pretty fast kill count. It was about 1 minute and 20 behind my PB. So honestly, not bad at all. And yeah, that's just a nice example kill count for you guys. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments. Like, I'm not a huge expert at solo CMs. I'm still learning myself, and you know, I'm pretty far from the Grandmaster time. You know, I don't have perfect gear, so that's probably part of it, but I also don't know how to tightrope skip. But if you have questions over things you're struggling with, you know, maybe I'll be able to help out, so feel free to drop things in the comments. I'll probably be back at some point with more CoX content. Maybe once I get to 250 or 300 solo CMs, I might show you guys the loot from that, because I really am just grinding this until I get a T-bow. But for now, you know, this is it for my CM guide. If you enjoyed it, you know, please feel free to like and subscribe. That actually helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope that the CMs go well for you guys. All right.